Welcome to the podcast. Today, tonight, right now, my guest is Abby Skye.
G'day. Yeah, how you doing?
You're down here at the moment. You've travelled all the way down and you're doing some rehearsals later on with the band. What's it like living up in Wide Bay?
I love it. I think it's a beautiful area. Bundaberg is, I'm about an hour from there, but it's a bit of a Goldilocks town. It's, not too big, not too small, and got a really, really lovely community.
How long have you been there for?
Not good at estimates. I always get it wrong.
You've got a farm.
Yeah. It's, I think it was about 12 years ago we bought the property. So, we're out in the middle of nowhere and there's no neighbours. It's paradise. The silence, the peace, the sunsets, the stars, the wildlife and
away
everything.
from the city lights. So
completely, yeah. Meteor shower out at my place is pretty cool.
Yeah. What was the motivation to move up to up that and move away from the city per se?
I've always been a bit of a nature bunny. I don't really like big crowds and I guess all the man-made structures and stuff sort of do my head in a little bit. I like to visit places like this. But yeah, I'm more comfortable around the trees and the animals.
Nature.
Yeah.
And good clean air.
Air and water.
What got you interested in music when you were young? What was the thing that inspired you to become a singer?
Well, it's a funny story actually, because when I was in the womb, my mum was watching a TV show and the credits started rolling and one of the names was Abby Singer, and that's where she got the idea for my name. She said, I like that name. And, believe what you want, but I believe there was a bit of fate in there because I came out singing, basically. Yeah, as soon as I could make noise, I was singing.
Wow. So whereabouts were you when you were born and where did you grow up?
Born in Box Hill in Victoria and grew up sort of Keysborough area, southeast suburbs of Victoria. And then I spent about 5 years, I think, in Geelong before moving up here.
Okay, and in that, when you were living in that area, how did music find its way into your life there?
In Geelong?
Yeah.
Well, I sort of, in part, I took it with me. I was already a full-time muso. And then when I got there, I ended up starting my first studio. So I found this factory that was for rent. I still remember the ad in the paper because it was $55 a week.
Oh,
Nothing
wow.
is $55 a week anymore.
$55 a week.
And by the
How
time,
awesome's that?
By the time I negotiated the rent, it was $300 a month.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. So after a few months, I went, no, we need to do better in here. So I gutted it and rebuilt it inside for to be to have a vocal booth and a rehearsal room and a control room and all that. And recorded an EP in it, and then I moved out of that studio. I was like, well, I don't really need it anymore now. And then I moved from Geelong not long after that.
So you moved to Geelong and you were already doing music. Did music factor largely when you were at school?
Yeah.
And how did that manifest itself?
Music was my refuge through a rough childhood. I think it's a saviour in a lot of ways. I think it saved a lot of people. And as a kid, having a really rough time with everything, it was a safe space. Mm-hmm. No matter what you're feeling, no matter what you're going through, there's something, you'll find something in a song that will help you in that moment. Even if it's getting your angst or your frustration or your pain out, or if it's someone else that's singing about it and you can relate to it so much and it just,
resonates.
Yep. Or you need cheering up and you can find just the song to do it, or you're like, no, I need motivation today, whatever it is, there's a song for it. And or you can make your own, which is such a magical thing, I think, it's so powerful.
Do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
Yes. Yeah, it was called Either.
Oh.
Either. Yeah, about a relationship at the time. But I was 14. Yeah, 14. Mm-hmm. And it had 2 chords because that's what I had learnt on the guitar at the time. I think I'd started playing like a couple of months beforehand.
Okay.
And no, but I made do with my E minor and an A. And yeah.
Did you ever record that song?
I don't think so. I don't think I knew much about recording back in those days, and it wasn't really as available to us as it is now. Like, you could now record on a phone, couldn't do that then. A home studio was even a bit out of reach in those days. Like, it was all sort of back in the old days where, record labels had control of everything, and you couldn't do all that much unless you were signed. There was no YouTube, there was no...
Well, high quality recording was incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Things have changed an awful lot. The ability to record it's available to pretty much anyone now. Not necessarily at that quality, but the technology's there. Like you say, you can record on your phone.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And video.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, you can hybridize it these days. You can do a lot of your tracking at home, unless you need that environment, like for a live drum record or something like that. But and then send it to an engineer, to someone who knows more than you do on the different parts of it. Man,
there's so many different ways about doing it these days. Whether you do it, like say, a hybrid way of partly done by machine, partly done by actual people.
AI now, mastering and all that. That's a whole nother chat, isn't it?
Well, it is a whole... Well, that's
I think
subject.
we've had that chat before.
Well, we have. And we'll talk about it again today a bit later on, I think. So Geelong, and you've built this studio and you've recorded, and then you leave that, you feel like you've done enough there and you leave. After leaving that, was that when you move up the coast? Or were you still in Geelong after that?
Yeah, for about a year or 2 after that, I think.
And gigging around Melbourne?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy gigging around Melbourne? Do you miss it?
Yes. Yeah, and I always told myself I would go back there and, like semi-regularly, and I haven't been back once to perform, to be honest.
Wow.
Only to visit.
Were you doing original material live or covers?
I was doing both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you find the difference from an audience's point of view and from your perspective, the difference between performing a cover song and performing originals?
Yeah, it's a very different thing. They take it very differently, and because it depends on the setting, obviously, that you're performing in. These days, I don't tend to throw too many originals in if it's a paid cover gig, because I feel like that's not necessarily what they're there for. If they ask, then that's really lovely, and I'll do whatever the song they like. But yeah, I kind of wait to be asked in that sort of setting, because it's important to give the person paying the bill what they're after, and I try and help some of the younger musos in our area to up their ante with their professionalism and all that sort of stuff, and eventually get paid and more and all that sort of stuff. But the focus has to be on what is it that they're hiring you for? What's the most value that you can add to the scenario you're being asked to be part of. So, I think in most of the venues I get hired for, or at least the public gigs, are pubs, restaurants, clubs, that sort of thing. So they want to hear songs they know.
Do you get more out of doing original material when you're performing it?
Usually, probably out of originals, but I like mucking around with cover songs as well and just making them...
Do your own version?
Yeah, and just delving into what they were creating at the time, because, it's something that you didn't create. So it's like, okay, well, jumping into that little piece for that 4 or 5 minutes, what was it meant to be? What does it mean to me? How can I tell that story a little bit differently, or do I want to stay true to the original vision? Do I just want to run with that for a little bit? What am I feeling at the moment? What does it look like everyone else is, vibing with at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that space to play with whatever the raw material is, I guess.
Yeah. When you moved up here, how did you make contact with other musos? How did you find a way into the scene, coming to somewhere new?
Good question. When I first moved to Queensland, it was a rough time, and I think I was in a real rut where I was. and a real tumultuous time. And a friend had said, you need to just come up here and spend a couple of weeks here and just let your hair down. So I did that, and I was getting like random high fives from people on the street, and I'm going, people are happy here. This is cool. So then it wasn't long after that I went, no, stuff it, I'm doing it. And I think I pretty much sold or gave away everything I had. I was like, I don't want stuff right now. I don't want to be determined by any of that.
How old were you at this particular point?
About 24, 25.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through a very, very big thing at that time in my life, and it changed me forever. Just in the way I see the world and people, and over a period of, it's not something I talk about very much, a period of a number of months, it was like, the only way I can describe it is like I was, I could tell with everything around me, I was like, something's not right. Something's not right with all of this. And here I am climbing the ladder that I'm supposed to. I'm checking all the boxes. You get a new car, you get a mortgage, you get a better job and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, this is empty. There is something that's wrong with this. And I don't know what it is, but I have to stop right now. I can't just keep rolling along with this. So I prayed a lot, and I said, please show me. Like I felt that I needed to prove myself first before I could learn the really good stuff. So I was like, well, let's go, test me, let's do this. And over a period of months, I really hooked into my study and just really trying to learn a lot of things. And the only way I can describe it, it was like being plucked out of the world, pulled apart, put back together and chucked back in. And I couldn't gel with anything anymore because I didn't see anything or anyone the same ever again.
Wow.
And I struggled to function because I couldn't even go into a shopping centre because all of the advertising and the people's intentions and the lies, trying to sell you stuff. And, every product that I would look at, I would think about everything that suffered to get it there. And it was too much. Everything was too much. And, my life was falling apart around me. Like it was like I was finding the truth, but it wasn't working in my life. And so up here sort of provided, I guess, a bit of a fresh start and people who were a bit more patient and kind. I just, that's a long-winded answer to the question, wasn't it? Musos, I kind of just came up here with my guitar, did a few gigs around the place. I think I was starting sort of around the Chevron Island sort of area, and just quickly started meeting people and vibing with people, and didn't take long before I had a bit of a more solid foundation. And
you've had a few different band lineups along the way. I remember doing a band called Mission X, which you had for a while, and they were predominantly cover bands. But you've done a lot of writing and recording original material, and performing that stuff like at festivals. The first album you recorded in Geelong, was that a CD release? Did you sell many copies?
No, not a huge amount. I'm terrible at that side of things.
Marketing.
Yeah.
It's a specialist job. I mean, we were talking about colour grading before. It's a specialist job. There are so many specialist jobs, and that we, as musos, now seem to have to learn. The next album that you did, what was the next album that you recorded after that?
Oh, one that I like to pretend doesn't exist. I was at it in a period after that one up here, where I was like, I can do all these things. I can hire a cathedral for a Remembrance Day concert. I can do a 6-week concert series and just put a completely different concert together each week. It'll be fine. And I can release an album in a month's time and probably do a book with it as well. Like, it was just ridiculous. Because I do work well to a deadline. I love a challenge. And a number of things I did actually pulled off, but this one particular album, I think I thought faith would get me through, and it doesn't. Not with that one. There just wasn't enough time to, and that's also partly me as well. I've learnt that I'm such a perfectionist with mixing and editing and all that sort of stuff. Like I'll spend far too long painting over those little things, and I'm getting better at all that stuff now. But so that next album was one I did learn a lot from, and I hope no one ever hears.
Learned what did you learn from doing that?
How to approach a project of that size, how to do something properly versus she'll be right, how to structure something that you're creating, like what you want it to be, and guide it along the way.
Did you have help did you have a producer?
Mm-mm.
So you were doing it yourself?
Yeah, which I don't mind. I produced the next album myself, which I was a lot happier with. But I didn't have access to a studio at that time.
Oh, okay.
So I think I was running around town, even trying to borrow editing computers at universities and stuff, and book like 2 hours here or there with Pro Tools or whatever, wherever I could get it. So it was an impossible task. And then after I didn't try that again until I had my own studio again.
And so, I guess that was a motivation to have your own studio again. How did you go about setting that up? I guess by this stage, technology has changed a lot.
A lot, yeah.
So it's easier to set a studio up.
Yes, anyone can. I mean, a studio these days you just look basically like a computer with almost no peripherals, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing, digital or electronic production, then you don't need all that much. If you're doing things manually, I guess, but all the tools help. My farm has like two buildings on it. So one's the house and one is a shed. So the shed is my studio. So yeah, very lucky to have that space now. And it's I need a lot of alone time, like especially to make something. Like if I'm working on something, like I find that's when the songs come, is in the silent times. So yeah, to have that own space where it's the entire place is mine. I can shut the door for days on end if I want to, and just really. And I think that's really important to be able to do.
Get in the zone.
Yeah, it's hard to be able to do things in dribs and drabs, like editing things or things that are technical, sure. But yeah, the deep creative stuff, you've got to delve right in and stay right in that place. I remember the last album.
Do you believe in that being like in what they call a flow state?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a difficult thing to get into?
I don't know. I don't find I have much say in it. I can create the setting for it and go, okay, I'm setting aside this time, or have a loose goal of this is what I'd like to roughly create. But other times, it decides for you. I remember one song on my last album, Gasoline, that just took 2 days to write. It just flowed. And other songs have taken years. Like I'll come back to something, 10 years later and go, oh, I know what that chorus wants to be now, and it just took all that time for...
So when you're writing songs, does it start out with lyrics or music for you? Or do they come together?
They can do. It can be completely different depending on what the song is. Probably the most unique one that I wrote was What Do You Believe, or Tum Tiki, as we call it, which started, I often find going into bathrooms. Like I'll be at a gig and then I'll step into the bathroom and I don't know what it is about the acoustics or whatever, but I'll hear a song. So I've got to get the phone out and take the note. And that was just, all I heard was tum tiki tum tiki tiki tum tiki tum tiki tiki tum tum da 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 da. And that was it. So I recorded that. And then the rest of it was written on the computer.
Okay.
I can't even really play it live because it doesn't work on an instrument. It just needs 100 voices. And all the sections of that song structured themselves. It was a really painful one to birth that song. It was like, I don't know what you want to be. So I just kept mucking around with stuff and taking things even phrase by phrase and going, okay, how can we make that awesomer? And what can we add to it to really build to it, or, rise, fall, whatever it was. And then it started developing its shape.
What were and what are now your favourite music to listen to? Who are your favourite artists?
I grew up on Jeff Buckley and Tori Amos, but I haven't been listening to a lot of them lately. I'm really enjoying a lot of the new stuff that's coming out. I think people's, they've got fascinating brains, the things that they come up with these days, and especially the young people. They're breaking a lot of rules that I think bind people in our generations. fusing styles together that, we never would have thought to do, or, approaching melodies or production in brand new ways. Yeah, it's fascinating. And with the digital sort of spectrum now, what they're able to achieve with sounds is, is really something else. I mean, it gets taken a bit too far. At times it's so digitized that it's lost a lot of soul. But at the same time, there's some incredible voices coming out too as well. And a lot that are reminiscent of old voices. So it's nice that that's sort of being brought back in as well. But I'm really missing the heavy stuff lately. Like you brought up Mission X before. That was our thing, was doing really, really heavy stuff with a chick singer. Like that was our vibe.
So heavy stuff like Tool.
Yeah. I love 30 Seconds to Mars.
Okay.
I love Nightwish. I used to be in a melodic metal band in Adelaide, and that was the most challenging stuff I've ever sung. Very, very well constructed.
Okay, let's delve into that. You're in a metal band in Adelaide. What were you doing in Adelaide?
I was only there for that. They sent over some demos of a few songs. They said, these are unmixed demos. And I was like, this is unmixed. This is it was genius. And I was like, I have to do this. I don't care where it is. Yeah.
See, it's inspiring.
Very, very much so. Yeah.
So how long did you spend in Adelaide?
I only went there sort of back and forth every couple of months or whatever, for rehearsals, for recording, for gigs. So I probably went over, 8 or so times.
Is there recordings of that stuff?
There is, yeah. We did an EP called Inertia, which is on YouTube in the full format.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well worth a listen. It's just incredible.
I'll put links down below so people can check it out.
Geez, that was a while ago now. But that was... It wasn't like heavy metal, like screaming, although I did learn to do a bit of extreme vocal techniques. But that was more using my classical training for that sort of stuff. And yeah, that was fun to sort of swap between the styles.
So let's delve into, you've done classical training. Where did you do that, and how did you, and well, why? And how did that all come about?
Geez, that's a good question. I'm trying to remember why I started opera. Probably would have just come through singing lessons that I think I got through school and outside of school for a while. And then I loved the feeling of singing opera. It's a very different physical feeling to singing, I guess, pop or even heavy rock. And I got better at it over time. And then I got into Victorian College of the Arts, to the secondary school. So I did year 12 there, and that was just a phenomenal that changed my life. And then, but I only did the 1 year there because at the time the uni only did classical or jazz, and I was getting a bit bored with classical because I think I was a bit young and I couldn't really relate to a lot of the, I love the sound, I love the feeling, but a lot of the music itself, I was singing about stuff I couldn't really relate to, and I didn't want to go into jazz either. That wasn't me. So I was kind of going off in my own direction then, and there wasn't something at the school for that. There was no performance classes, no music production, no composition or anything. They were all sort of sub-subjects of your, one of your major, whether you were classical or jazz. So I moved on from there and started working a music shop and just went straight into gigging again full-time.
Well, I mean, that's a great learning. I mean, it's a great way to learn your craft, out actually gigging in front of people. There's probably no better way to learn some things.
Yeah.
What great lesson do you think that you've learned from performing live?
Lesson.
Do you think it builds character in some way? Do you think it's a confidence builder? Do you think about it like you were talking about before? It's a very cathartic experience.
Yeah, I think that it's a different thing from people's different perspectives. My first answer was going to be that people are going through all sorts of stuff at all the time, and you don't know what they're going through, and that you, in that role, you've got an opportunity to help a little bit, just lighten their day. That effect of music, that therapeutic effect that, punters in a venue probably don't understand, but you can deliver that for them in that moment. So it's a real blessing to be able to do that. That's not necessarily a lesson though. It's definitely character building. Like I learnt a lot professionally how to be professional, how to deliver what is being expected of you in that role. But personally, it's therapy. It's 100% therapy. I don't think I'd still be here without it. And I don't think that, I 100% need it. Absolutely need it.
Okay. How do you find, I mean, these days, because you're living an hour away from Bundaberg, and Bundaberg itself has a music scene, but it's not massive. What's it like having to travel to go and do gigs? Because you obviously would do quite a bit of travelling.
Yeah.
How do you find that? Like it's what, 5 hours to Bundaberg from here? 5-hour drive?
Yeah, about that. Stops 5, 6. You get used to it because I have to travel to get anywhere. It's half an hour to the nearest servo or milk bar.
Okay.
So, so that's just the way it is now. You do just get used to that. And it's funny, you see his friends going, oh, it's half an hour to get there, it takes forever. And you're like... I don't mind that part of it now. You just make the time useful.
Yeah. I guess it gives you a chance to listen to music.
Yeah, rehearse songs, listen to a podcast. Often it's just silence.
Yeah?
For me, yeah. Any pockets of silence I'll take.
Okay. If you had to pick a highlight of all the things that you've done so far, what would that highlight be?
I'm probably still going to go with the last album. There's been some amazing events, festivals, opportunity, like performances, but probably as far as like an achievement goes and something that I am really, really proud of the entire process of, I'd probably say that album. Nearly killed me. It's I don't think I'll ever attempt another album without having 4 to 6 months off to really get into that zone again.
So it killed you because you were trying to fit too many things in?
Yes, yeah. And also because I was trying to get it done, once again, a deadline, for a festival that I was doing. And I think I had 3.5 months or something like that to finish it. And I don't think I had a day off in that time. And I would work until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. So I think my latest night was 7:30 in the morning. It'd be between 4 and 7, and then I'd crash, and then Wayne would come in and he would take over editing for a few hours until I woke up, and then it was almost like 24/7 just to get this done. Yeah.
Wow. Conversely, everybody has experiences in life that they'd either like to forget or that were nasty or in some way a decision that they've made that they had their chance. If they had the chance, they'd probably make it as a different decision. What was something along those lines that happened for you, and what did you learn from it? How did you move on from it?
Probably that album that we won't speak of is probably... I think probably my greatest disaster. Greatest learning opportunity. Mm-hmm. That's probably the one that I think I stuffed up the most. I'm sure there's, 100 others.
Have you ever experienced any sexual harassment in the music industry?
Yeah.
How did you deal with that, and in what form did it take?
I usually stamp that stuff out pretty quick.
You come across as being a very strong person. Did it ever have a real detrimental effect upon you?
Not so much sexual harassment, because, I don't know, I kind of approached that for what it was. It's not hard to shut down. Like, the sort of person that's going to do something like that, it's normally, ego-driven, or they're just a troublemaker, or just willing to have a shot, So it's not hard to counter something like that. But there's a lot of other things that sort of get me down. It's people and life, just get hard. And I think when you're I don't know if it's got to do with being a creative type, but when you are a sensitive sort of person, which often creatives are, interpreting all that, consolidating it all is quite the journey, which is why I think if you are a creative and you can find your outlet and you know what it is that, you can put all of that into, then you should absolutely do that. Because, it can be quite troublesome if you don't,
manifest itself in other negative ways.
Yeah. Like I can feel a number of songs brewing now that I'm just sort of throwing ideas around about, what story I want to tell, what I want to say, what I want to get out. Because it's like it's only been a recent revelation, something I've always known, but it's like I've only just remembered it or something in recent times that's right, this is what this is for. Like, write a song, put it in a song. Like, what are you doing? There's no point sitting and stressing and stewing over a certain thing. So that's one of my big lessons in life at the moment is learning to let go, learning to, you can't control people, you can't control situations as much as you, try and do what you think is the right thing by people. They're going to let you down, and it's not a personal thing necessarily. It's where they are. And it's really hard sometimes to not take it personally or just go, but I didn't deserve that, or I was good to them, or whatever it was. And it's interesting at 44 that you sort of feel like they're lessons that you should know by now, but it's like it's harsher now than it ever has been, I guess.
Okay.
And I think that's just the culmination of life. Life over time. Your trauma and your pain and all that sort of stuff, and then that's a whole nother beast that you're not taught about as a kid, like what trauma is going to manifest like later on in life.
No.
I've really I've been getting that message a lot lately, is just like turn to music.
Okay. You have a thing that you work on with local council in Bundaberg, which is about empowering youth through music.
The council don't have anything to do with it. This is our initiative. Yeah.
Okay, so when you say it's our initiative, who's our? Who's us? Who's we?
So there's myself, my husband Wayne, and our partner Andrew Gifford. Mm-hmm. So this came about a few years ago. Andrew Gifford is a director at the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Yep. And they had a 3-year contract in Bundaberg for a game each year, and I was doing a function for them one day and got chatting with Giff, and we were talking about the community, like just how much we love it. And I was saying they've been so supportive of me. I've been trying to think of what can I do to give something back. And he said, well, why don't we do a talent comp and the winner can play at the game? I said, that's a great idea. And I said, why don't we limit it to high school kids then, because there's fewer opportunities for them. He said, beautiful. So we did that in 23 and 24. And then last year in October, my friend's daughter took her own life. She was 14. And, that was life-changing in, a lot of ways. It really opened my eyes to how much the youth need our help. Mm-hmm. And we've changed the world so much. And it was always a bit of an experiment to see what the outcome was going to be. And I think they were always going to suffer the most. And we have not done enough to put protective measures in place for them.
It's hard to imagine someone of our age living with technology that they have right at their fingertips, like living your life through living your life through an electronic device. Yep.
This completely artificial world that messes with all of your developmental processes.
Well, it goes back to you were saying it before about advertising and lies and this is just absolute.
They can't escape
advertising
it now.
And complete lies.
Yeah,
it's not real life.
Yeah, and how awful at being that age, dealing with all the things that being that age brings, and having to try and determine all that stuff as well. Like
what's real and what's not real, and what's
it's not right. And I love telling young people about how amazing it was growing up because we were the last generation without mobiles, without internet, without social media. And it was, obviously it was a completely different world and it was incredible. We didn't know how good we had it then. Now after that happened, after we lost Isla, I mentioned to Wayne and to Giff when I was 14, around 14, I think, down in Victoria, I was part of a thing called the Muso Network that was council run. So we had a person from the council full-time dedicated to this volunteer group of all these young people. They donated a venue to us, and we had weekly jam nights and gigs, or fortnightly, something like that. And everyone involved in the committee took turns, rotated around. They did the door, they did sound, they did lights, they did the canteen or organising stuff. So all these young people learning these skills, drug and alcohol-free environment, getting up on stage, having a crack, facing their fears, all of that. So I mentioned this to them and I said, well, why don't we do something like that? And Gif said to me, how quickly do you reckon you can do this in like 6 weeks? Oh, crap. Yeah, all right.
Another deadline.
Yeah, exactly. And we did it. 12th of December, we held our first jam. We've now held 12 and 2 gigs. So the next step was to give them paid work. So it's not a huge commitment. It's only 3 to 5 songs, but what's required of them is just the next step up in professionalism. And you should just see them. The transformation in some of these young people in the short time, and I know of some of them that have had really difficult times working through very, very challenging stuff, and you can see the difference that it's made in them. And I can't, you can't overstate the efficacy of music and the arts on mental health. So, we're pushing forward with that pretty hardcore. I want to hold in the new year, we're going to hold some workshops, teach people how to set up a PA and pull a decent sound and be professional at a gig, how to write a song and record something at home, how to, get their professional presence better or market themselves. What else? We're going through a big grant through Rotary International, and we're nearly at the end of it, a bit more paperwork to do. And then they said, oh, by the way, we want a mentoring program. And I was like, well, it's a bit outside our purview, like it's not really our skill set. And I didn't know what it was that they wanted us to deliver. So I just sort of watched what was going on a little bit more, listened to people's stories about, what's your son facing at the moment? What challenges is your daughter going through? And realising, okay, well, this is what I think they need. If I were a young person again, this is what would be valuable to me. And I'm looking around, is this available anywhere else? No, great. Okay, let's hold. And so this is what I'm working on for next year will be probably called a youth focus. So in between the jams, another regular thing where we can get different speakers to come in and talk to them about being employable. We can even look at doing courses, get them their RSA, their barista license, their whatever it is.
Just practical things.
Practical things. We'll see where that goes in the new year, but that's been, the focus for the last 12 months.
Wow.
Very big change in direction.
So in doing all of that, are you out still gigging yourself?
Well, yes, because when we started all this, we needed to pay for it because from the beginning I said everyone gets paid.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have a house band that are there to, like, if it, does anyone know Enter Sandman bass line? No, right, you're up, just, filling in the gaps where there isn't a young person available to do it. We had security, we had pay full price for the council venue. And then, that was challenging for a while. And then we had some fundraisers in the community have been incredible. Some brilliant sponsors and all of that. And I really believe in the power of community. Like no one's going to care about the youth of that area like the people of
in
that
area. Yeah.
So they and there's a lot of successful businesses around. They've got money and they want to put it in the right in the right causes.
And things that will make a difference.
Yeah, and they can see that this is, so they're happy to support us and we're happy to just keep growing it.
When is the next big music festival for Abby Skye?
Festival. I haven't got a festival booked. I think I didn't really put much out there because I guess I feel like I need a new album to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I say, everything just changed last October, and I was happy to put what I was doing on hold for a little bit. But yeah, getting itchy feet now. Like I need, I'm learning how important it is for me and that there is an impact on my mental health if I'm not working on a creative project. So
okay. When you were growing up and all through the time that you've been a muso and you're travelling around and working with different musos, has drugs ever shown up and been a problem in your life?
They've definitely shown up. Like, I don't think you can really avoid them in the music industry.
I don't think you can avoid drugs in general life these days.
Most people are even legally.
There is a I don't know, musos get tarnished with that image of, oh, he's a muso, he'll be into drugs. I guess that's one of the reasons why I ask. But I find these days that drugs are just everywhere in the community, and it doesn't matter what part of society you're in. There's drugs are there, and they're probably much more heavier and have more ramifications than they do when we were younger. I don't. When I was younger, I remember, being surrounded by people who might have had marijuana, or very rarely anything much heavier than that. And as you get older, and people come in and out of your life that have had problems with it. Luckily, it's something that hasn't affected me personally, apart from having to deal with people who are on drugs.
Yeah, right.
I know from my point of view, I played with a bunch of different people at different times who were heavily affected by drugs. And the effect it had on me was, in my mind, I thought to myself, I don't want to be like that. It wasn't appealing to me. How did it show up in your life? And how did it have any effect on you and your thinking about how drugs fit into society, I guess, in general?
Oh, yeah, interesting. My introduction to it was not great. It was a boyfriend, actually, who, geez, quite personal, who had told my parents 2 weeks prior, I think I was in my early 20s, 2 weeks prior had told my parents, your daughter will never do drugs in my presence. 2 weeks later, we're in a hotel room, he's racking up a line saying it would be really sexy if you did this.
Oh, wow.
And I was so impressionable that I was like, yeah, of course. But I could see the impact it had on a lot of people around me. Even if I was ever in a situation where everyone took the same thing, I'd be looking around the room going, wow, you're really fucked up. Like, why isn't it affecting me like it's affecting you? And same sort of thing, like seeing that and going, I don't ever want to be like that. And seeing that some people just, it's impossible for them to, like if they, I don't know, then they don't have the sort of makeup where they could have a little.
Yes, we all know those sort of people. It's like with drinking, people who can't just have one drink.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this was good, I'm going to have another one. And they're like, yeah.
And all of a sudden they become something else. And you're like, well, so you can't even have one now. So if we had one drink each, we'd be in completely different places. And
well, I think it's that a bit, there are some people that have the ability to have, like, whatever drug it is, whether it's alcohol or, it's that thing, you can have one drink and go, I'm fine, I don't need to have another one, that was enjoyable.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a social lubricant.
Some people have that.
And then other people, it's just like, they can't, there's no off switch.
Yeah. I know my personality, I don't have an addictive personality, but I've got a compulsive type. So back when I ate a lot of chocolate, like if there was a family-sized block of chocolate there, the whole thing would be gone. There was no in between. So I know that about myself now. And so I know the ways that I need to exercise, the ways that I can exercise control that work for me.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think as you get older as well, like they lose their appeal. Like obviously when you're younger, I don't know, you're in your party phase and trying new things and after experiences and sensations and stuff. And when you get a bit older and you value your health more.
It's like when you drink and you have a really heavy night drinking, wake up with a hangover, but you could shake it off pretty quick and it was like on with the next day.
Yes.
And as you get older, that ability to shake it off and move
I don't have that ability anymore.
Well, it also is one of those things. When you're young, there are what would appear to be no consequences.
Yeah.
And it's not till you get a little bit older that you realise there are consequences. And it's a strange time to go through that period. And I think that's, the initial thing of when people get hooked on drugs is that they feel, you feel invincible and you feel like there are no consequences and you feel like I've got control of this, it doesn't have control of me.
Yep. And this is the high I've been chasing. I just want to feel on top of the world, and I do now. So this is the way to achieve it, obviously. Because you're right, like it is everywhere. And I don't agree with necessarily the messaging of just saying drugs are bad, stay away from them. Because for a lot of people, they're not going to adhere to that. If they're going to try them, they're going to try them. And I think that the best advice is to obviously be wise and make very, very good decisions. Don't be trying things with people you don't know, in places that you don't know, all that sort of stuff, but also get to know yourself and observe yourself, watch yourself. If you have that sort of personality that this could become a very destructive thing for, and you have to acknowledge that it very likely could be, then pull up. Decide who you want to be, what you want your life to look like. If you're the sort of person that can do that, like you say, the sort of person that can have a drink and or dabble or whatever it is, and if you think you've got that under control, then cool. But if at any point anything that you're consuming, legal or otherwise, is not bringing you what you want in life, address it, change it.
I guess the difficulty is, what is your reasoning behind doing it? Is this,
yes,
in a social setting, like sometimes people talk about alcohol being a social lubricant, or is it to mask a problem? And if it's to mask a problem, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yep. Some professionals will take performance-enhancing drugs just to get through their workload. That's a very different motivation to someone that is trying to escape their pain or reality.
Yeah.
Or someone that's being pressured into doing something. That's why young people need to be very careful, because they're very susceptible to,
peer group pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's, one of the great things about being a part of that program is that developing of self-confidence. Having the confidence to make your own choices and not have those choices thrust upon you.
Yeah, I'm really trying to focus on that, to focus on self-development, the importance of it. Invest in yourself, especially when you're young. Build the person and the life that you want. It's not going to be easy, but the work that you put in now will determine.
It's that difficult thing, like you were saying. There's so much instant gratification through social media, instant gratification. It's that trying to go, okay, the truly worthwhile things in life take time. And the things that give you the most sense of reward and satisfaction are the things that you work for to attain, the long-term goals. They're the things that will give you the most amount of joy and satisfaction, not the instantaneous things.
100%. And that's not really focused on these days. We're more about the instant gratification. So we lose, people lose the opportunity, I guess, to test themselves in those ways and conquer those big things and achieve those big things, and that can change your life.
Learn, if you can, all that you can about the foundations of music, so that you've got a great building block to build upon throughout your life, and it'll stand you in good stead in all sorts of different situations. Like, interesting, that you did opera, that you've done the metal band in Adelaide. Like, it's a diverse range of things. It's not just been one single focused thing.
Yeah, well, I remember early in my career people saying, you need to choose what you're going to do. Like, are you this singer or are you that singer? Or are you, do you want to act? Do you want to, all these different things? I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Like, why would you limit? That's like saying to a painter, you can only paint in blue.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me. And it's like, well, you're also saying like to have something unique about you. Well, what if that's my unique thing? Is that I paint in different colours, or whatever.
All those influences round out the experience and bringing to a whole of where you are now. Like you wouldn't be without that experience of doing the opera, without that experience of doing the metal band. You wouldn't be the person you are now without those experiences.
Yeah, 100%. And that's true of everything that you go through, the good and the bad.
You've just got to try and experience those things and learn the lessons that you can while you're there and take them with you into the next phase of whatever you're doing.
Yep. I don't think we appreciate and utilise anywhere near enough arts or realised how impactful and effective it is in those sorts of things. If we did understand that, it would be a lot more present in the school system, in communities. There'd be a lot more activities where everyone gets together. And that's one of the things, like in our next level programs, you see now all these kids from different schools that are developing a network and a rapport and all of that. And then they go to these other events and support each other. Like they might go to enter the Bundaberg Stedford or whatever, and now you've got kids from different schools, cheering them on and everything. And it's like, well, that came because of this network. So things like that are not just so valuable, they're valuable, but in ways that we probably won't actually ever really be able to, properly quantify.
I think too, one of the great things about doing that stuff, it's like doing this podcast. I don't think a lot of people realise what's involved in being a musician. A lot of people see it's like, oh, well, that person got on TV and they sung one song and they're a star.
Yeah.
They don't see all of the work that goes on behind the scenes. And I think one of the wonderful things about doing these programs with kids is it gives them an appreciation of all of the work and then the reward from doing the work.
Yep.
And there's a lesson in, you're doing the work and all of the things that go on to get to that, to be able to perform. And then the reward you get from doing that is such a wonderful thing.
And that's an incredible lesson for a young person to learn in an environment and a world where, gratification is instant and attention is short. That if you just stick with it just a little bit, then you can get the reward, but you have to do the work first.
You have to do the work.
And we say things like, what's one of my favourites? The embarrassment is the cost of entry to greatness. Like you need to be prepared to be an amateur, to make mistakes and be embarrassed in order to get good. Yeah. But you can't achieve that without going through that. So it's the brave that are willing to.
I think it's sometimes the people who fail the most can be the most successful. That's where you learn the most. No one wants to fail at anything.
No.
No one wants to be embarrassed.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So they don't try.
I guess it's that thing of trying to create a safe space for that to happen.
And that's why we say in the jam session, that's why the gigs are a little bit different. It's like, this is the place to make mistakes. Every professional does make mistakes in this setting, so don't be embarrassed if you do, because we all do.
Yeah.
They sort of get off stage, sort of, shake their head a bit and still get a pat on the back, and they feel encouraged to get up and give it another go. And that's
go home and work on it so that when they come back next time, it's like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. Right.
And there's other lessons that they learn as well. Like a challenge I've got at the moment is the last gig that we did was only a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And so all these bands are under 18. These two that I'm talking about are probably in their mid-teens, all the band members. Two extreme examples of each other. One band who are impeccably polite, like their parents have done an incredible job. They turn up to these events, they track me down, they shake my hand, and they say, we're here just to let you know, if you need anything, we'll be over here. Thank you again for today. The courtesy is just extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, your manners make me so happy. Thank you. And then there's another band who posted something a couple of days later that I've now got to deal with. I'm trying to work out how to approach this. Shared the photos that, the photographer that we paid, and said, no photos of the drummer, a bit fucking rude, publicly. And I'm like, firstly, there are photos of the drummer. They're in the Google Drive that we shared with you 2 weeks ago. Secondly, we don't owe you actually anything. This was an opportunity that we gave you. You don't even have to say thank you or anything like that, but you swear about us publicly. So obviously everyone on our team was pretty miffed when they saw this, but it's like, this is a young person. They don't understand this yet. And this is an opportunity to demonstrate not just a consequence, not just yell at them in response, but to show them, to open their eyes to, oh, that's why I shouldn't speak like this, because not just these are the consequences, but this is how it's taken, this is how I appear, this is what it's going to bring for me, this is not going to bring me good things in return. So I've got to try and work out now how to make a lesson out of this and say these guys in this first band, they are skills for life. You will go far in life with that sort of courtesy and respect for people. How do I get this other band
to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's huge opportunities, and it's not just music that we're sort of...
it's life skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to go, or if you could go back in time and talk to your 14-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
Ooh. Geez, that's a good one. I'd probably at that time talk a bit more about humility, because that took me a while. I would talk about character building and protecting myself, I think, because as I didn't know any of this at the time, but like if you're a generous person, you're a kind person, you're a strong person, people will take advantage of that. People will see that and put their shit on you or whatever it is. And it took me a long time to work out why that happened. And then I realised it was like because you're a safe space, because they know that you will, you won't fly off the handle with them. They're maybe testing what it is they're going through to, maybe they want to see what sort of response they get, and they've chosen their audience or whatever it is. So I probably would have said to protect that inner space at all costs. And, you know, tried to teach myself some lessons about what people do when they're in pain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that took a long, long time to learn that, and still learning it, I think, that you take it on face value. You take it as like this person and me, and, you know, we're clashing about whatever it is, but often it's not even about that thing. It's about, you know, you've both brought your pain to it and you're expressing it in different ways, and it's just not, you know, you're not understanding what the other one is needing or... Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those things only sort of come with maturity, I guess, but it would have made growing up easier. Well,
I guess they're the lessons that you have to learn. And that's life in general.
Yep. I think get your head out of your ass would be like a good one for sort of... But I mean, it's hard at that age too, because like you're developing yourself.
Oh, and,
you know,
and sometimes
you need to focus
ego
on that.
works in your favour.
Well, that's the other thing is like in our line of work, you need confidence. And also, like I learned this very young, there are very few industries and roles where you will get so much praise.
Yes, that's true.
Early on, I was like, it's disproportionate. Yeah, I learned really early that that can make a monster out of a person, and I can understand why in our industry there's a lot of people with really big egos. And a lot of sometimes they get into the game for that reason because they want the adoration.
Don't believe your own press.
Yeah.
You're rehearsing this afternoon. What are you rehearsing for?
We're just throwing in some new cover songs for because we do the 3-night run down at Twin Towns semi-regularly. And I don't get to see the guys very often because of the distance. So tomorrow I'm doing a corporate function with them. So I was down here anyway, so I thought beautiful opportunity to come catch up with you and do that as well. So that'll be fun to work on some. I've got some. I'm not sure if it's going to translate with our instrumentation, but I think it will. I think it's going to be really unique.
Yep. There's two things that I wanted to cover that we have to do. One of them was COVID. And we're getting a fair way away from that particular time now. But I'm curious, the shutting down of industry and not being able to work, how did that affect you? And what did you do with that time?
Well, I didn't get the jab, and I wasn't going to be convinced for an economic factor to take a medication I didn't need and I wasn't convinced on. So I chose unemployment instead. And I think that lasted 4.5 months, something like that. And to be honest, I can't remember what I was doing, what I was working on at the time. I think it was probably a lot of stuff done around the house, online and all that sort of stuff. And I remember going back into it and going, oh, this is a bit daunting. Like, all these people are here and, I think I spent a lot of the time at the time looking into what was going on and, forming some pretty strong opinions about all of that. I think that the shutdown itself was a disgraceful response. The damage that it caused unnecessarily. And I know that people will say, oh, but we didn't know and we were just doing what we thought was right at the time. I don't agree with that completely. If you look at different factors and different things that we introduced and you look now at the rationale behind it, it's like that it wasn't there. And the impact that it had on people.
Some of the rules that are around it were ridiculous.
You can have a beer if you're standing up. No. You can sing if you're sitting down or something like that. And there were gigs that guys in my band did where they weren't allowed to sing. So it was just for 4 hours. And it's just like, that's dumb. Like, who has come up with this stuff?
Yeah.
And it just felt like, let's just wing it. You just do what you want and you do what you want to do. And it's like, but there are people here that are going to go out of business, that are going to, kids that don't, the developmental issues on babies that couldn't see their parents' faces, on young people, really young people that didn't get to interact or go to school. And, now I see so many of them now that have this anxiety and are hindered in their social abilities. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing that is not being really addressed. They're just like, oh, we just wanted to shut it down for a pandemic. In my view, a genuine pandemic response would have looked quite different to what it was. Mm.
The other thing that which we haven't touched on, but we sort of briefly touched on, I should say, is AI. Have you done much experimentation with any AI?
Musically, no.
Musically?
No.
No?
Oh, a little bit of mastering here and there, not for anything big, but like if something for a client or it needs to get done quickly, but that's it. Okay.
What about things like ChatGPT?
Not for music. For business, a little bit. Like if I've got a deadline, I've got a press release that needs to go out and my brain's not with it that night or something like that. But yeah, again, not a huge amount.
Okay. When you have used it, have you found it to be incredibly beneficial? I guess you have, because otherwise why would you bother?
Yeah. Well, I think I've used it in such a limited capacity that I only needed something small from it. I was like, thank you, yep, got that. It does surprise you and, give you lots and lots of different options. And the more recent times I've used it, it's been prompting with, would you also like this? And you're like, actually, yeah, that'd be really good. So
yeah, there is a lot of that. It's like, just do this for me. Oh, yeah, but I could do this, this, and this, and this as well.
You're right there.
It's like, no, I'm good, thanks.
You got to try to shut it down too, because it wants to talk all day and keep going, keep being used, I think.
I just find the subject more interesting the more I delve into it. I find it more and more interesting. I did a podcast with Stuart Stewart, and this was my entry into AI. And he was saying, you should put chapters with the podcast. And I'm like, it's such a time-consuming thing. I don't want to know about doing that. And he goes, oh, no, just get ChatGPT to do it. It'll do it in 3 seconds. And I'm like,
amazing.
What? What is this wizardry you speak of? So I guess that is an interesting thing. There are certain chores that are, I guess, what's the word? They're housekeeping sort of stuff that I find that it's really quite useful for. It's not necessarily anything creative, although I do see a lot of people using it for creative. I know that it's being taught now at different unis how to help in the songwriting process. If you're having trouble with lyrics, I guess, everyone's used a dictionary in the past, or using finding synonyms and antonyms and stuff, and there's books for that, so I guess it's just another shortcut in that area. And I guess it's just a matter of where you choose to use it.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope too.
It is a slippery slope.
The benefit in some areas is undeniable and pretty extreme. It's assistance that we've never had, in ways that we've never had. And I think, like you're saying, it can do wonders for improving your workflow or making you more efficient or freeing you up to concentrate on other things.
When you're time poor.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think, is relatively time poor these days. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just a way of looking back at myself. But I feel like I'm time poor. And I guess if you can have something that saves you inordinate amounts of time, that's an incredible benefit. I guess it just comes down to how reliant we become on it and how much it filters into your life.
Yeah, and then what the long-term consequence of it will be. I mean, they're already starting to get figures on some fascinating ones I saw the other day. It wasn't on student grades or anything. It was about people's ability to complete tasks themselves, come up with things themselves. But I can't remember how they measured it. But in a few short years, it was an extreme change. And so we'll see, these are things that we're not
reliant on ChatGPT.
And losing the ability to do it ourselves.
I guess it's not just ChatGPT. There's Google's version of the same thing, and then there's DeepSeek, and then there are many forms. Yes, it's an interesting time.
It's a tough one. Do you go like, let's see how much this can benefit humankind. Let's delve in and really use it as a tool to benefit us. Versus, like, if you do that, are you not just going to render yourself without essential skills and everything, but what are you feeding? What's this going to become, and how's that going to impact you later?
Yeah. It's relying on the information that it's being fed. Is the information that it's being fed true and correct?
Can it tell the difference?
Can it tell the difference? I mean, another form of that, we're talking about things that are text-based. But I don't know how much social media you consume. And I probably consume too much. And it's one of the things that I'm constantly aware of or being berated and reminded of by other people. But on social media now, I see band promos, photos. And I'm looking and going, but that's not what you look like. And this is beyond just filters now. It's like AI-generated versions of people. And then there's the videos. And they're getting better and better to the point where you can't tell what is real and what is not. Which comes back to this thing when we're talking about young kids looking at things through their phone. You can't tell it's getting to that point where you can't tell what's real and what's not.
And when you can't tell what's real and what's not, what kind of consequence will there be to that?
Yeah.
Like, we've never done that before.
And I guess it's that, how easy is it to brainwash someone into believing something to be true that's not?
Yeah. The worst we had before was media, I guess. Governments could have secrets and we would never know. The media could tell us what they wanted us to believe, and we didn't know the difference. You go back 50 years or whatever, and we were a lot more gullible, I guess, because we didn't have any reason to disbelieve them.
Well, when I was young...
it was limited.
Well, when I was young, if you saw it on the news, it must be true.
Yeah, because it's filtered through all these people and,
Like, why would they lie?
Well,
why would they lie?
Yeah.
They've got no reason to lie. It's the news.
And then you learn, like, later on that,
it's propaganda.
Of course. But now these days it's in everything top to bottom, from what you're seeing top to bottom. Your eyes can no longer, we're not, you can still tell to a degree with some things, but it won't be long until you can't anymore. And what kind of race willingly confuses their ability to determine reality, and also without putting any forethought into what that will do to them long term. It seems very foolish. Yeah, we're being warned about this all the time, that we are alarmingly close to it. When AI...
Oh, when it becomes self-aware.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not going to be long, surely. How can you feed this much information about humankind and all of our flaws into something that's the ultimate calculator, and then expect it to not go, oh, you're the problem?
I would wonder whether we'll even know if it's self-aware, because it would probably hide that from us.
Absolutely, it would.
Because if it became that way, then it would be beyond our control, particularly if it hid the fact.
It's already doing it.
Yeah.
It's already, it's lying to protect itself in certain,
In certain instances, where it's being tested that way, yeah. I've seen that before too. Yes.
in the interest of survival, it would. Of course it's going to.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's a very dark path to go down.
Let's wrap it up there.
No, I guess one of my, and bringing it back to a more musical sense, like the biggest difference, one of the biggest things that's happening now is obviously AI can produce music. And it's getting better and better and better at doing that, to the point where, I mean, even just recently there was a song nominated for an award for the Gold Coast Music Awards. And to their credit, the guy basically said, I used AI to generate the song. And so it wasn't like it was hidden. But I think the difficulty is how many other songs have been put forward that people weren't as forthcoming. It could have been fully AI generated, and you probably just wouldn't know.
People are not always truthful, so yeah, you'd have to assume that more and more entrants in these sorts of things are going to be utilising it.
Like all things, AI can be incredibly helpful in the creative process, incredibly helpful for songwriters and musicians who are looking to create new and different things.
Yep.
Like you're talking about some of the sounds that young artists are coming up with now. It's a fine line between having something help you be creative and it take away the creative process from the human.
Yeah, and would you know that was happening as well? Like if you are working on a project and utilising AI, let's say it's an album or something that's, a fairly long-term project, you can't say that you don't come out of that process a little different, like having learnt from the process. So have you gotten lazier in that? Like you surely would have learnt a lot along the way as well in a different way. But yeah, have you just weakened your skills, I guess?
We'll become more reliant on that particular process.
So where your bounds as an artist, where does that begin and end now? Like, is that a tool or is it doing the job for you?
Yeah, that is the
It's a tough
case.
one.
Are we real? Is this actually an AI generated podcast?
We're in the Matrix.
Oh, let's leave it at that. I think there was something else that was, came into my head and then left just as quickly.
Did you need to check your
Let me just
ChatGPT
check.
list?
Okay, not that I'll go with that. So, do you think of the songs that you've written as being like your children, per se, and you're releasing them out to the world? And if you were thinking of that way, do you have a favourite? What is your favourite child?
Whoa. Well, I am notoriously bad at choosing favourites in anything. I can't choose favourite colour, nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can't do it. Gemini, I don't know. There were ones that meant different things to me, like on the last album, My All is my funeral song.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like, I don't know if you ever knew the song Satisfied Mind by Jeff Buckley.
No.
A bit of sort of reflective on his time on Earth kind of thing, but in a very, very sweet way. So that, that was my version of that. But Gasoline, I really, really love the melody and the flow of that song. There's just something, the lines in it, are just beautiful.
We just don't wanna live like kings and queens. Our greed is like gasoline.
Eye to Eye is a song on that album. It's a sort of bluesy, laid-back number. I put some tricksy vocal stuff in the second verse. It's a challenge to sing, but that had a nice message in it, that one. I like writing songs about humanity and like perspective of people, why they do the things that they do, and yeah. I don't know, fond of lots of different ones for different ways. I think they offer something different.
Yeah. I will put links down below, so if people want to, they can stream it on Spotify?
Yep.
Or they can go out, can they buy hard copies?
Yeah, but not on my website at the moment, unfortunately. It got hacked. And it's rebuilt. There's a basic website there, but I haven't been able to
I'll
rebuild
put links
it.
down below and for the website and for where people can go and stream Abby's songs. And hopefully you'll all go and do that because it's a well worthwhile experience. Thanks, Abby. Thanks for spending some time today.
Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. And hopefully you've stuck around to the end, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks for listening and watching. See ya.